Look at this suspension, all the way to the ground. I wish I could say that I was like VIP and I was into the whole lowrider scene, but unfortunately I'm not. The air suspension finally took a dump, and so now I'm going to replace it, and I'm going to show you how. Okay, so what I have here is the new Arnott strut for the S Class. So let's go ahead and open this thing up and see what she looks like. By the way, I never do unboxing videos. If you look through all my videos, you'll never want to see me do an unboxing. So this isn't really going to be an unboxing. It's just going to be me opening up the box and taking everything out, making sure it looks good, so that we can put this on the car and be done with it. All right, so let's see what's inside. All right, let's see. Oh yeah, look at this. This thing is, I almost don't want to use this. I just want to keep it in the box and just like look at it all day long. Look at this thing. It's insane. It's awesome. I love it. Here, let's bring you in for a close-up. This thing is awesome. I always feel like Ghostbusters when I do this. Like, you know when they throw the ghost trap? I don't know. I think about that every single time I do this. And if you're wondering why I'm not showing you, like, in specific details how to jack up the car, it's because in my other videos I go over this in great detail. So this is just me just going through the motions, and I'm going to show you guys in detail how to remove the strut and install it. If you guys are wondering why I am using an air tool instead of hand tool, well, once again, I go in detail in my other videos on how to remove the wheel with the hand tool, and for the sake of time, I'm just going to use the air tool to remove this wheel. Okay, so I don't think there's any particular order in terms of if you remove the bolts from the top or you remove the set screws from the bottom of the control arm. So for me, I'm just going to go ahead and remove the bolts from the top first, and then come down and remove the set screws, and then take apart the control arm. And then from there, I'm going to show you guys a cool trick on how to remove the sensor, because that's like a really tricky procedure, and a lot of people kind of get hung up on that. So I'm going to show you guys how to do that. All right, let's get started. Okay, there's a zip tie that holds all these wires, or these wires and hoses together. And if you can see, the zip tie goes right here. I already pre-cut it because I removed this air strut in the past. And so this zip tie, you just want to cut the zip tie because the clip that mounts into the plastic chassis covering area is reusable. So you'll just get a new zip tie and you'll thread it through, and then you can tie these hoses and wires back together. So when you're removing these bolts, you want to go really slow because the original Loctite that's on them is super strong, and sometimes you'll end up breaking the Torx bit or you'll strip it. So be very careful, go really slow, and once you see it start turning, then you can kind of speed it up. But if you find that it's kind of starting to strip, or your Torx bit is starting to twist, then use some heat. Apply some heat with like a small torch, and let it kind of warm up for a little bit, and then try it very slowly, and that will usually break it up so that you can remove the bolts. Okay, the trick to removing this clip right here is that you want to lubricate this little metal push clip that's kind of outlining kind of around the perimeter of this clip. And so what happens is, if this hasn't been worked in a while, usually it hasn't. I mean, how often do you change suspension? So what happens is, over time, just with dirt and the weather, the elements, this clip gets stuck. And so what you want to do is you want to take some type of lubricant. I use Triflow. Triflow works the best. Or you can use like an electrical lubricant. And you just want to get like the little needle hose, the red hose that comes with the can, and just spray a little bit onto that metal clip. And what that does is it kind of like loosens up the debris and kind of frees it up. And then after that, you're gonna just take like a little small screwdriver and push down. You're gonna push down on the top of this metal clip, and then with another screwdriver you can just pry it out. And it's super smooth, super easy. So let's see if I can do it first go. See how it just comes down, slides down super easy like that? So then from there, boom. And then it just comes out just like that. So one thing I forgot to mention is that this clip gets in the way. So in order to remove it, just take your screwdriver and just push toward the engine, and then it just pops out like that. And then go ahead and pull this out like that. And then you have two clips, and they're just mounted together. They're not, you don't have to unscrew them or anything. They just mate together like that, and that's it. So now we have those out the way. Cool. There's also a little clip that goes right here. And it just holds this hose into place like this. So go ahead and just unclip that before you remove the strut. Okay, so you have a little clip right here that you're going to have to undo, and it just sits in right there. So go ahead and unclip that. And then we're gonna go ahead and lift this suspension out. I think we got everything going. What I did last time was I tried to see if I could seal this leak because it was coming from right here. So I filled it up with like a bunch of like gasket sealant. Didn't work. So yeah, whoops. Okay, at this point we're gonna lower the knuckle. I know you're probably wondering like, why haven't I lowered the knuckle from the beginning? Didn't really see a need to. Better to just kind of keep it on for as long as I can. And so now I'm going to lower the knuckle so that we can put the new suspension in and seat it to the post on the control arm, and then we're going to bolt it in from the top. All right, so let's get started. And then you're going to have some wires right here that goes to the brakes and everything. And just go ahead and unclip them just so that they're not being too stressed. Like that. Cool. So now we can go ahead and put in our suspension. Oh yeah. All right, so it's in. You might have to push down on this really hard just so that you can get this pin into the bottom part of the suspension. And now we're just going to go ahead and tighten those set screws at the bottom to the 20 Newton meters, I believe. It's 20 Newton meters. And then from there, we're going to start putting everything back together. All right. Okay, so I had to remove this little cap to install the second set screw, and so that's going to be a 4mm. That's going to be a 4mm hex bit. I used a T-handle, a 4mm T-handle, and it comes right off. Just remove the lower portion. You don't have to remove the whole thing, and then go ahead and continue torquing your set screw to 20 Newton meters. And then once you're all done, then you can just put the cap back on. Alright, so now we got that done. Let's go ahead and start hooking everything back up. When you're putting the clip back in, you need to press down on the pin at the top just like you did to remove the clip. You need to press it down and really push that clip back in so that it locks. Otherwise, it's not going to lock and you can just pry it back out. So in order to test that, push it in, and then once you release the clip, take your screwdriver and pry it back and make sure that it doesn't come back out. If it comes back out, then just keep repeating the process until you get it locked in. Otherwise, it might not connect with the car and then your air pump won't operate. And so even though it's pressurized, you might think everything's good, but then later on down the road it might lose air or it might not adjust, and then that could cause alignment issues, that could prematurely wear out your tires, So make sure that this clip is in correctly. Alright, remember that zip tie we talked about? Okay, so now we're going to go get a new zip tie, and then we're just going to go ahead and, where is it? Just zip tie all these lines back together. Alright, so let's get that zip tie. We have our zip tie. Now we're just going to go ahead and thread it through. Alright, for this part I'm just going to go ahead and clean this hose. So we're going to take the new fitting that comes with the suspension. Fitting here. Slide it on. Okay. We'll just hand tighten this. Mercedes says like 5 Newton meters, but I would just hand tighten it. Now we'll torque down this steering knuckle nut to 20 Newton meters. Alright, good to go. If it's spinning, just get your jack, apply pressure to the brake rotor, and then give it a shot. Alright everybody, we're done. We got everything tightened and the car is back on the ground. So now the last thing we need to do is reconnect the battery, and then we'll jump in the car, start it up, and we'll hit that button that raises the car just to put the air back into the system. Let it run, and then after that we can go drive it and just enjoy the new suspension. So thanks again for watching everybody. It's been great. And be sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys next time.